representing for the FWAs and of course Cheeky Sport. Now the subject to talk about is VAR. What's my thoughts on VAR? You know what, I think it's brilliant in regards to the fact that people train hard, and an incorrect decision from a human being shouldn't stop you once you've worked hard. However, we've got to speed up the process. I mean, seriously, it's just not right there, is it? You know, sometimes we saw during the Women's World Cup 8-9 minutes to make a decision. During the weekend, it becomes really difficult. I think what's even more difficult is when someone scores a goal, you don't even know whether to celebrate or not. You're wondering, you know, there's something good happened, let's wait for the confirmation. I'm just worried that the time that it takes will take away a bit of the enthusiasm from the players themselves on the pitch. In regards to VAR itself, I do believe it should stay, even though it's taken away some of the thrilling goals for teams, notably Man City. But the speed definitely needs to improve.
It's certainly affecting the flow of the game. Probably for a lot of people at times it is affecting their enjoyment of the game. I just think we have to embrace VAR. We've talked for years about getting decisions right. There's now a system in place to try and make sure that happens. There was always going to be difficulties to start with, teething problems, but from a long-term point of view, I think we've got to embrace it.
The handball rule. Well,
once again, at least, you know, it's very harsh at times. It was certainly very harsh on the other night for Man City against Spurs, but at least there's clarity about the handball rule now. The rule's very clear. If it hits a hand, it's handball.
Good or bad?
Good grief. Probably good in absolute terms, bad in relative terms. The problem being not really VAR itself, but the laws and the way the laws are used to justify some quite astonishing decisions. And for example, we've all heard and read and seen the handball situations with Emerick Laporte, for example, which was absolutely ridiculous. We also know that VAR is not absolute in terms of the moment, for example, when the boot hits the ball, which we had in Raheem Sterling's disallowed goal not that long ago, and so forth. So there are loads of problems, but these problems for me are not with the actual technology. It's more with the use of the technology. It's about the laws, because most of the controversy has been about handball, and the law in this particular case is an apse. It's not VAR, which is VAR in a way highlights the fact that the law has got to be rewritten. I know it's just been rewritten to supposedly clarify things, but it clarifies them in a way which is completely against the spirit of the game and the very idea that you can't use your hands in football. Well, I'm sorry, as Kevin De Bruyne said, you can also chop your arms, and in this way you will never be penalised. But the way it's being used at the moment is, I mean, a real problem. And I think the problem, again, it's not the technology, it's the way you use the technology, and it's the way the laws are drawn at the moment.
Clearly, one thing that can improve massively is the communication with the fans. I mean, there's no doubt the fans don't have as good an idea of what's going on as if you're watching on the TV, or if you're perhaps getting sort of some guidance from the Premier League by email about why a decision is taken. That has to be the priority now, is having introduced it, to be able to explain it to the fans in the stadium. It can't be that difficult. An announcer, a big screen, anything like that, it's got to be explained to the fans. The big question for journalists is, how does it affect the way you cover a game? For example, this time last year, we didn't have it in the Premier League, but we did have the start of it in the Champions League. I was at Tottenham Man City, not last week, but earlier this year in the Champions League, writing, my deadline was on the whistle, and when Raheem Sterling scored, or Aguero scored what appeared to be the winning goal, Raheem Sterling scored it, Aguero was a touch offside, suddenly your whole intro changes, and then a minute later changes back. That's what VAR can do, it's what last minute goals can do. But the question is, bringing it into the Premier League, is it going to cause too much uncertainty? You obviously have certainty with what's correct, and City against Spurs last weekend was a great example. The decision in the end was correct. People didn't like the decision, didn't like the offside law, the ruling on the handball, but it was the correct decision. That was an evening kickoff. It's very hard to get your deadlines, hit your deadlines and get everything condensed into the moment. So we're going to have a lot of confusion, a lot of frustration, but I think it's here to stay.